Episode 4 of the Manager Leader Continuum. Where do you stand on this continuum? Today we're going to talk about 3 or 4 major differences between a manager and a leader. A manager is the boss. Boss is always right. Therefore, a manager states. He speaks. And when he speaks, people are supposed to listen. They are not supposed to question him too much. And they are supposed to carry out his directions, his instructions. The people below him are his staff members who are subject to his discipline, to his direction, superintendence and control. So he states people are supposed to listen. He's the boss. And of course, the leader is also the undisputed boss. But people are his followers. They have tremendous faith and trust in him. And therefore, a leader listens. Interestingly, if you see the words silent and listen are anagrams. You've got to be silent in case you want to listen. The same 6 words toggled together in a different permutation, listen becomes silent. And as has often been said in some of those Zen quotes, that when you're speaking, you're merely delivering what you already know. The quantum of your knowledge is not increasing. It is only when you are listening that the level of your knowledge goes up. So therefore, a leader, not only does he listen, he encourages his followers to speak and give feedback. And he listens, internalizes, and takes a discerning decision. Very important difference between a manager who simply states and a leader who actually listens. Now this point I love it very much, and I think this is really something which distinguishes very fundamentally and qualitatively a leader and a manager. A manager is a person and his team accordingly. So a manager is a person who's trying not to fail. So he says, okay, let my performance not get below this level. Let me not actually do too well in this quarter, because then they will fix a higher target for the next quarter. So he's playing game to salvage out a draw. So therefore, a team which is trying not to lose, salvage a draw, would have no energy, no electricity in it. At best, you will have an average, a little below average performance. So manager is trying not to fail. On the other hand, since the mission of the leader is very dear to his heart, his sacred calling, his dharma, his reason for being there on this planet, and that is why his followers are following him, he is trying his level best to succeed. And when you are leading a team which is trying to win wholeheartedly, as opposed to one which is trying to merely eke out a draw, you will see what type of energy and sheer electricity gets imbued in the leader and his followers, and what is there in this universe that they cannot achieve. So very fundamental, very subtle difference. A manager all the time trying not to fail, whereas a leader very confidently and with an element of faith and trust trying his best to succeed in the mission. Next point, a manager tries to follow standard operating procedures, blueprint approach, instruction manual, code of conduct, rules have come. This is the action plan, do it, best practices, you reduce it in writing, follow it. So in doing so, obviously you follow a certain procedure, your performance would be average, above average, good, but you are hardly giving any space for innovation. You are not trying to incorporate changes and small tweaking that may be required in the local circumstances in which you are working. Leader, therefore, will obviously be guided by the mission, have a broad plan of action, but he tweaks it, modifies it, depending on the feedback, depending on the exigency of the external circumstances. Therefore, there's that flexibility which a leader has inherently, which a manager does not have, and even if he does have, he may choose not to exercise it. So manager's performance is constricted and constrained since he's following a constrained set of rules and procedures, whereas a leader has the ability to modify, modulate, and incorporate feedback as he gets along into the mission mode. Connected, next point, but slightly different. A manager is generally supposed to be risk averse. You won't find many managers who would be trying to embrace uncertainty or take risks. They say, this is my job, hey, I'm going to confine myself into this arena and not venture out. Tomorrow people may say, why you were doing this? This was not a part of your duty. My senior management may tell me. And on the other hand, why do I waste my resources, time, and valuable time of my subordinates doing something which is not a part of my duty and taking unnecessary risks? But a leader is essentially, by definition, a person who embraces risk. He is there on a risky mission. Exercise of leadership requires you to be fearless because it is a risky mission. You are trying to virtually achieve the impossible. See the history of any leader, whether it is Mao Zedong, Nelson Mandela, FDR, Mahatma Gandhi, any leader across the world, Joseph Stalin fighting a war against the Nazist Germany. When you start off, Winston Churchill, when the Battle of Britain was on, they start virtually with an impossible mission. But because of the faith and trust and confidence they have in themselves, and because they hold that mission very close to their hearts, they're able to take the followers, take the risks, and succeed. So manager, being a risk-averse person or personality, a leader, taking risks, of course hedging the risks, but ultimately embracing uncertainty and taking that leap of faith and achieving a mission which, to begin with, at the inception, seemed almost impossible. So these, friends, were a few attributes that I wanted to discuss here. Stay tuned for the next episode for 3 or 4 more interesting points, and please do a favor to your friends and followers to share this if you think it could be of value to them, and also subscribe so that you do not miss out on the remaining episodes, which are going to take you closer towards the clarity of the manager-leader continuum. Stay tuned.